Welcome back to JW Highlights. And today we will be talking about meanie, tekel, and parson. So that's the handwriting on the wall. So perhaps you've heard of the handwriting on the wall term. The writing on the wall, it's an expression that suggests a portent of doom or misfortune based on the story of Belshazzar's feast in the book of Daniel in the Bible. So the writing on the wall, the writing on the wall. So we've heard that, that term all the way through life. It's a term that's been used for millennials, for thousands of years. So is it real? Did it really happen? Well, we can look a little bit into the story. But anyways, on JW.org here, this is where we're at. We see the story, the handwriting on the wall. And basically what happened here was there was a big feast going on, and the king of Babylon, he invited a lot of guests. And they were using gold cups and silver cups taken from the temple. And they were speaking down about God. So all of a sudden, this hand, just with the wrist, appeared, and the fingers started writing on the wall. And what it wrote was meanie, tekel, and parson. So that's the words. And the king didn't know what this meant, and it was a language they didn't understand. So he brought all of his wise men, and they couldn't decipher it. So his what was it? His wife or something said, "Hey, there's a guy. He's a mystery man." Yeah, it's the king's mother, and she comes in and she says, "Don't be frightened." She says, "There's a man in your kingdom that knows the holy gods. When your grandfather Nebuchadnezzar was king, and he made him chief of all his wise men, and his name is Daniel. Send for him, and he will tell you what all of this means." So we know a lot of this could be just stories. Did it really happen? We're not sure. But anyways, this story has been passed down for thousands of years, this story, and the handwriting on the wall. So what does it mean? Meanie, Daniel comes in, he deciphers it, and he says, meanie means that God has numbered the days of your kingdom, and he's brought it to an end. And tekel means that you have been weighed on the scales and you've been found wanting. And parson means that your kingdom is given away. And in this case, it was given to the Medes and the Persians. So even while Daniel was speaking, according to the story, the Medes and the Persians, they began to attack Babylon. And I believe the whole story is there. They diverted the waters of the Euphrates, and then they came in and took over the city. And that happened within 24 hours. It happened very quickly. So what does that have to do today with the modern day Jehovah's Witnesses organization? Now, we follow the news, and this is a JW News channel. So in the news lately, all we have been seeing until today or yesterday was just assembly conventions, a lot of fluff news on Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's what they do. They go to the news agency as part of their thing. But today, if you plug in Jehovah's Witnesses and news on the internet, wow, there's something different coming up. And this would show me, and I'm going to go down to the picture again, that the handwriting is on the wall for this organization. So we're going to get right into this news. Here it is, this Pennsylvania case. And this is this grand jury that's been formed in Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania. And it's ironic that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society was founded in Pennsylvania. So everything seems to come back. That's why it appears to be that the handwriting is on the wall. Now, so far, the Catholics and the Mormons and everyone is being investigated because, in all fairness, into CSA cases and cover-ups. And the Catholics have come out, and the Pope has come out a few years back, 2018, and apologized. So there has been some progress with religion. So that means that, and then the Pope made some changes to how they were dealing with the priests and tried to correct this. So there's an admission of guilt. So obviously there has to be a payout to the victims. There's an admission of guilt, but the Jehovah's Witnesses have no admission of guilt. And this, I believe, friends, is the handwriting on the wall for this organization. Now, if they fight it legally, one case at a time, there's thousands of cases. This is one state. One state. There's all the other 52 states. There's the rest of the world. And this is one state. So, five more in this probe have been charged, and they've uncovered, they went into the kingdom halls because a grand jury, a subpoena, allows them to come in and search all the records. And sure enough, they found cover ups. So I'm attaching this article in. I'll read a little bit of it here. It's an interesting article, kind of summarizes the whole thing. If you're not, if this is new to you and you just woke up and you're looking at this today, well, it's crazy. Here it is. A Pennsylvania grand jury investigating child sexual abuse in the Jehovah's Witness community has charged another 5 people with raping or molesting children as young as 4. And the latest developments in an ongoing probe that has identified 14 suspects. Pennsylvania Attorney General Michelle Henry at Friday news conference said, well, the misconduct dates back years or even decades. The trauma endures today for these victims. And Henry did not address the churches or the JW org handling of the complaints, but said the investigation would continue. So I thought that was important to note. This investigation is continuing, and now they're looking at the ones that committed the crimes, and now they're going to eventually look at the organization. So here's what it says. Critics say that Jehovah's Witness elders have treated child sexual abuse as a sin rather than a crime, documenting complaints in internal files but not reporting them to authorities. And they say the church often required a second witness to substantiate a complaint, a standard that can be impossible to meet when perpetrators often isolate their victims. Mr. Haw of the New Haven, PA, a former elder who left the church in 2016, now advocates for survivors of abuse in church, applauded investigators. And when we did an article on Mr. Haw. Now, I hope the elders are arrested, he says, who knew about the child abuse and covered it up, and then it happened again, said Haw, who testified to the grand jury about the church's structure and about his own daughter's abuse within this organization, Jehovah's Witnesses. And he also hopes the organizational leaders, and this is a governing body in New York, will be called to account, because it's not just a Pennsylvania problem. This is a national problem. This is a worldwide problem. The church spokesman, Jared Lopes, has challenged the criticisms, saying that elders comply with reporting requirements, blah, 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 and that members are also free to report sexual assault to authorities. So that's kind of been their stand, but that's not the way it is. And he also said that the second witness rule applies only to internal church discipline. Lopes did not immediately return to the message seek and complain on Friday. So that's their lawyer, the JW lawyer. And they're just scrambling because they can't hide the fact that this is a doctrinal part of the organization. And for those of us that have been in it for years, we know. We can testify to that. Now, the grand jury probe of Jehovah's Witnesses began with the referral from a county prosecutor who felt the state should take a broader look at the issue. Dozens of witnesses then testified before the secret grand jury in Harrisburg or provided information to the Attorney General's office. Now, in the charges announced Friday, Henry said that the men had groomed or gained access to the children through the kingdom halls, through the church, sometimes when the child's family took the person into their home. And that happens in the kingdom halls. We trust everyone. We're told that these are our brothers and sisters. We're to trust everyone. And one person said that she was raped 50 or more times between the age of 7 and 12 by a church member who was 18 when the assaults began. And others involved less serious charges of inappropriate touching. Now, the 5 charges were David Belosa of Philadelphia, Errol William Hall, 50 of Delaware County, Sean Sheffer, 45 of Butler County, Terry Booth, 57 of Panama City, Florida, and Luis Elia Veliquez, 55 of Berks County. Now, 4 were taken into custody while Belosa was being sought. It was not immediate clear if any of them had lawyers representing them. Now, one of the 9 earlier defendants killed himself before he was arrested, Henry said. Now, attorney Matt Haverstick, who had represented Pennsylvania congregations in the state's investigation, did not immediately return calls for the comment on Friday. So the Jehovah's Witnesses are staying back. They're not commenting. What can they say? The handwriting is on the wall, and they know it. In a case with some parallels, a state grand jury investigation into child sexual abuse by Catholic priests culminated in a lengthy 2018 report. And we touched on that a little bit in our last video. That concluded hundreds of priests had abused children in Pennsylvania over 7 decades, and church officials have covered it up. And more recently, a similar report was issued in Maryland. So you see, folks, what we see happening here, the Jehovah's Witnesses at one time, when I was a Jehovah's Witnesses, when I was one, at one time, when I was for 30 years, we were out knocking the Catholic priests for the child sexual abuse. But here, within the Jehovah's Witness organization, most of us didn't know. But this was going on, and it was being covered up in these private little elders meetings happening at the back of the hall. So the Jehovah's Witnesses, in an eternal Christian denomination founded in Pittsburgh area more than a century ago and headquartered in New York State, claims 8.7 million members worldwide, including 1.2 million in the United States. Members will not bear arms, salute national flag, or participate in secular politics, and believers are known for their evangelistic efforts, including knocking on doors and disturbing the people every morning with this literature that's not Bible-based. It's literature that talks about their fictional paradise and what they believe. And the religion, to take this a step further, also condones selective suicide. So if you're dying on the side of the road, Jehovah's Witness will not take a blood transfusion, and they will commit selective suicide. And that's a crime within itself, in my opinion. They also are very active at shunning. Anybody that stands up, or let's say I'm in it and I say, no, I want to take a blood transfusion, I would be shunned and disfellowshipped. I would be an outcast. We are treated like Satan. We're treated demonically. So the organization, it fits the bite model of a cult, and we see it over and over again. Now, one of the interesting things that's happening right now within the Jehovah's Witness religion is that shows me that the handwriting is on the wall is what's happening. Now, we're going to go to the, I just watched a video, Totally Awake XJW, and this is a site, you can subscribe to them. And I looked at this first video on their site here, Empty Kingdom Halls and Reuniting Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you look at this video, we'll just play a little bit of it here, and then I'll talk about it.
So the first thing I seen on Reddit was this, that the Kingdom Hall is empty. Someone posted, sitting in a meeting right now, and it is quite desolated. All around me are rows and rows that either are completely empty or not quite filled. The Kingdom Hall capacity is absolute overkill for the actual attendance. I think there are 2 other teenagers other than me. 95% of those attending are adults. The speakers lack enthusiasm and a certain zeal or vigor that they used to have back in the day. Their words are delivered in a monotone and tired tone. The atmosphere is a straight mockery of what your average meeting was like during my childhood even. So I totally get that. And here I'm just showing a video of, that Watchtower produced, okay? When the daughter was shunning the mom. And it depicts perfectly just how empty the halls is. It's just like one family there, just like I said before. It's not a whole congregation of people. It's like a small family. It's so little bit of people on each row. He said the rows were empty or it only had just a few people And that's exactly what we see here. Not a lot of people at the halls. So we can rejoice in this, guys, because people are leaving. People are waking up. People are not going to the hall anymore because they know it's not the truth. They're realizing they have been scammed, and they don't want to waste their time in that empty Kingdom Hall. Now, this is what else I've seen on Reddit, okay, which just really made me come to tears of joy. A grandmother said, I think this is the next.
Okay, so yeah, you guys can watch the video. She goes to talk on how this granddaughter had been shunned for 2 years, but then the whole family woke up and the whole family had a family meeting and they gave her hugs and they apologized. So this is happening right now, today, in the Jehovah's Witness religion. People are leaving in droves. The kingdom halls are empty. The handwriting is on the wall. So until next time, friends, keep living your life with love.